This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Airstrip for this set of games on the left side. Playing the Scrin, playing the Cyan, this is Futurama. And on the right side, playing the green, playing Nod, this is Drive. These two always opponents and always teammates at the same time. Whether it's a 1v1 or a team game, it's going to be entertaining when these guys are involved. They do great in 1v1s against each other. They do great in team games playing with each other. And it's pretty much always a delight. By the way, check out the Drive wallpaper pack. He has designed a bunch of cool artwork centered around Command and Conquer. You've seen a bunch of them as thumbnails on videos on this channel. Check out a little pack that he put together. There is regular 16:9 wallpapers. There's ultra-wide wallpapers. There are mobile wallpapers as well for some of the designs. Just a cool little wallpaper pack put together by Drive, and he's a great designer. I hire him to design stuff for me. And hey, if you need graphic design, check out Drive because he always does a fantastic job. Scrin versus Nod. Tournament Airstrip is the venue, and it's looking very standard so far. Double Refiner coming out from the Nod player. MCV packs up. No sneaky flame rush, nothing like that. I mean, it is vanilla Nod versus vanilla Scrin. So a pretty straightforward matchup, but, you know, no sneaky flame tanks. It's just macro-oriented openers for both players. And that Buzzer Scout on the other side of the map means that Futurama is keeping an eye on what Drive is doing. And Futurama is going to have an idea of exactly where Drive is in his game plan. Because, you know, he sees everything that he expects to see, and he sees nothing that he doesn't expect to see. Buggies moving out across the map. Futurama and Drive have both landed at their expansions. I thought those Seeker tanks were going to be crossing the map and looking to do a little bit of poking and prodding. But instead, Seeker tanks go down to the south. They are going to be here to kind of guard against any potential pressure at the natural expansion for Futurama. And somewhat similarly, Drive clears out a garrison in the middle of the map and then circles back down to the south. So very standard macro-oriented openers for both players. Straight into the third refineries, which is typically what you should do. You only really drop the War Factory before the third refinery if you really think that you need it. There's some imminent threat, or there is some great opportunity to do some damage. Harvester goes for the blue Tiberium. Attack bikes out on the field. Oh, a couple of Seeker tanks. Okay, they did eventually make their way onto the aggressive side of the map. Futurama does a little bit of poking and prodding. I get a couple of these Harvesters. He might actually be able to snipe this blue Tiberium Harvester, which would be a fantastic catch here for Futurama right at the start of the game. And that is where Dune Tiger will always tell you to not send that earliest Harvester possible across the map to get that blue Tiberium. It isn't really worth it, and in this case, it is definitely not worth it because Drive loses a Harvester right here at the beginning of the game. Futurama with a big eco boom, and I think Drive is just going to spin this into... Oh, he actually went 4 refinery. I thought it was going to be 3rd refinery, War Factory, then the 4th refinery, but he went 4th refinery right from the get-go, and this is looking pretty aggressive from Futurama. I was expecting to see Scorps and Buggies from our Nod player, but without 2 War Factories, it is difficult to pump out enough units to really make that combination effective on offense and defense. Shredder turret. No cash in the bank. Drive drawing a 0 on his bank account, and this is a problem. His natural expansion is completely cut off, and Futurama having a fantastic game here on Tournament Airstrip, goes on the offense, gets some damage done, catches this natural expansion unprepared, and the second wave of descents will come in. They might be able to jump on this Harvester. It's low on health. It's very low on health, but there's so few descents left, and Drive needs desperately to keep that Harvester alive. He does! Barely does he keep that Harvester alive. What was that? That was like a ghost disintegrator firing a couple of shots there from beyond the grave. I don't know what that was. That was just a little bit of a bug, I think, going on there. But man, Drive, 2 low health Harvesters, one around 50%, the other one around 1%, and that is not what you want to see. Futurama behind this, plus 16k per minute in income. Massive eco boom behind this. That 2-base economy is fantastic for Futurama, and Drive desperately needs to do something to even the playing field. I love this War Factory placement. It is very desperate, but it is also, you know, pretty common to place your War Factory next to a refinery so that you get those free repairs, so that you have that constant help for your harvesters. But this is like, I need these repairs right now. He really needed that War Factory working for him. Futurama setting up on the 3rd field. This is a dream game for any Scrin player. Yeah, you've got some nod things to worry about. Maybe some one-clicks are coming your way. Maybe a Redeemer is going to cause you some problems. But this is a phenomenal setup. And he catches the Flame Tank in the north. Great catch there by Futurama. Again, this just feels like a dream setup for a Scrin player. I don't know that you could really even ask for more. 5th refinery up and running, plus 18k per minute. 5k per minute more than Drive. And I mean, Drive is headed towards that 3rd base as well. He's got his tier 3. Laser capacitors have finished up. Any Scorpion tanks that are still roaming the map just got an upgrade. They are more powerful. They've got Dozer blades as well. Might pick up a Harvester kill. Nope, not going to catch it. But he has bought more than enough time and more than enough space for that Redeemer. Would not throw away these Scorpion tanks. They're not necessarily the biggest linchpin of the late game, but I would not throw them away. From this position for Drive, you are going to need every bit of firepower. You are going to need probably 2 really good Rage Gens to thin out this Scrin army, and the laser capacitors on those Scorpions do a pretty decent job versus Scrin units. Ooh, this is going to be tough. That's a lot of tripods in the north. And, of course, Futurama, he's in the driver's seat. He can do the thing, and he's got the stasis as well. This is going to be really tough for Drive. Maybe he finds an angle here. I mean, the nice thing is that the Redeemer is already out, so there's no stasising the Tier 3 and canceling the Redeemer. There's nothing like that. But these tripods, they're kind of spread out in a suspicious fashion. Eradicator Hexpod is not out. I thought he just deployed the Warp Chasm, but it was actually a gravity stabilizer instead. Scorpions on the north side. More avatars coming out on to the field. Uh-oh. I mean, if the stasis gets used here, that's almost a win for the Nod player. These Scorpions might be able to take the tripods. Lightning Spike gets added on. No, it's too many tripods. If the tripods would have come in one at a time, been more spread out, those Scorpions could have encircled and jumped on them. But when you've got 6 tripods and they're coming in pretty much all at the same time, it is a tough fight to have there. Honestly, stealthing the Redeemer and going for a couple of Rage Gens, you know, like walking up here and he might have to walk further than that. This is just a difficult spot for Drive to be in. Again, Futurama, dream game here as a Scrin player. I didn't actually see him drop the Ichor seed. I assume he did. but I haven't actually seen it deploy, but he is still just doing fantastic. Rage Gen fires off. The fight will begin. Redeemer is here, and so are the stealth fields, but so are the infinite number of tripods. There's the stasis. There's the lockdown. As these tripods march on forward, it was going to be a difficult fight no matter what, but it is an impossible fight without the Redeemer. 3 avatars against so many lasers. What do you hope to accomplish, avatars? They are going to fight it out to the end, to the bitter, bitter end, hoping to find some kind of damage, but the EMP lands. The Redeemer is not long for this world. The stasis was the safest place that he had on this map, and it is a total destruction of the Nod. It is the lasers of the invading aliens that will get the win. The dream game ends with the dream scenario for Futurama, crushing Nod beneath his heel. Drive is still in this game. Scorpions on the other side of the map, swinging through the entire base of Futurama, and it is Drive looking for the counter damage, finding a bit of hope for his Nod compatriots, and this is no longer the dream scenario for this Scrin player. Everything abandoned back at home. It's the Scorpion tanks that find the win. Tripods, if they could only have a 1v1 with those Scorpions, would win any day of the week. No contest at all, and it's just a lightning spike there on the other side of the map. Not much remaining for Drive at all, and the last structure goes down. The Scorpions explode, and that will do it for this game. Futurama gets the win on Tournament Airstrip. And next up, we are going to Tiberian Pantanal, a map whose name I never quite know how to pronounce. And this time, it will be a GDI mirror. Drive and Futurama joining forces to fight their differences out as members of the GDI army. And Futurama will win that fight, for sure. Gets himself both the structure in the middle and also in that corner as well. Tiberian Pantanal, one of those maps that I feel like has a very high hit rate for good games, and hopefully we get to see that here as well today in Drive versus Futurama, this GDI mirror matchup. And I guess pour one out for all the people in the comments who hate mirror matchups, who do like to declare that, but like, I don't know, I didn't choose the factions, although sometimes I do like to see mirror matchups. Definitely not my favorite kind of matchup, but I don't mind the occasional mirror matchup, and as long as this set of games doesn't just devolve into GDI v GDI for the rest of the games, then I'm happy with an occasional, you know, Sonic Emitter, Multi-MCV, Juggernaut, Marv, Spam Fest. And GDI v GDI, you know, sometimes it starts off with Pitbull Spam and it ends with Juggernaut Spam. Sometimes it is a very one-note kind of matchup, but we'll see what these guys have going on. Drive has this early Harvester moving out for that blue Tiberium extremely early. Sub 2:30, he sends that Harvester out. Not a typical timing for the blue Tiberium. I think it'll work out. I mean, he's got 3 pit bulls here to guard it, so Futurama would have to commit a lot of pit bulls in to win the fight with the pit bulls and also kill the Harvester there. And I just don't see that happening. So Futurama will lose out on that blue Tiberium potential, and Drive does actually get a full Harvester of blue Tiberium from the middle, so in some sense, that is worth it, but, you know, usually you wait until you've got a bit more of that main field harvested before you really go for that blue Tiberium. Futurama, on the other hand, quicker with the expansion, but not by much. It's a mirror matchup, and these guys are playing very similar to each other, even mirroring each other in income for much of this game. Drive deploying that blue Tiberium, and his income per minute is spiking a little bit because of that. Eventually, that power plant will be saved. Always annoying when those GDI players deploy foxholes in your base. But, you know, he's dealt with it at this point. Always nice to have the scout if you are the GDI player. Keep an eye on your opponent, force them to waste time and resources dealing with that rifleman shooting up a power plant. And in this case, Futurama, he's got those refineries at the expansion. Drive is doing exactly the same, and I would expect that we see at least one airfield, maybe not right away, maybe once we get towards the late game, but I would expect to see at least one airfield in this game. Hammerheads are quite good even when you've got a bunch of pit bulls out on the map, especially once you get towards that late game situation. You want something agile, and you want something that can also dodge in and kill off juggernauts. Hammerheads are a great option for that. Command post in the back of the base for Drive. Command post a little bit more centrally located for Futurama. AP ammo has started up for the boy in blue, and I can only assume the same for the guy in green. And hey, there's the airfield. Remains to be seen what he will get. Orcas obviously could be a very dangerous option with how many pit bulls are out on the field, and it is going to be hammerheads indeed. Is he calling in bloodhounds? This is a lot of pit bulls swinging into the main base. Okay, it is going to be infantry reinforcements will land. The armory got deployed over at the natural expansion. Meanwhile, Futurama going pretty big into the infantry himself. Wouldn't hurt to get him composite armor and some of those infantry upgrades for those riflemen and rockets. Pitbull's back off. Nothing happening. 5.5 minutes into the game, and some things have almost happened, but truly very little has happened of note. Drive is gearing up for the first big attack of the game. Sonic Emitter gets deployed right onto the front line, and nope, says Drive. I'm out of there. Futurama deploys that Reclamator hub, and one of the nice things about this map is you've got this giant field in the south end. If there's a GDI player, there's a very good chance that somebody sends a Marv down to that field, possibly with an MCV to establish a third base, but oftentimes the Marv just goes down there to act as a proxy sort of third base, where you don't actually ever build a third, you just get your third economy from that Marv going for that field. Blue Tiberium Field in the north could also be a very big late game boom to the economy of either player. Big boost late in that match. Wow, that's a lot of health bars there for all of those doodads on the map. And it is mass pit bulls here for Futurama. He has even gotten the mortar upgrade as well. Futurama deflects Drive on the north side of the map. Sonic Emitter is the base defense of choice. Meanwhile, it's going to be pit bulls trying to deflect Drive on the other side of the map. He's hoping to push Drive away, but Drive will find a little bit of damage, and it's going to be the rocket squads that really give him the victory here. Hammerheads playing a part, Predator tanks playing a part as well. Harvesters getting chipped away at. Juggernauts need to help push this army back. Drive doing a little bit of damage to the expansion of Futurama, but it is turning into a little bit of chaos here as Futurama was hoping to defend his main base with just pit bulls, and it's almost worked, but he still has some pain to deal with. He still has some problems to solve over there in his main base. Meanwhile, rockets are shooting at each other, which is one of the longest fights you can have in Kane's Wrath, is just rockets shooting at each other. Power plants getting targeted down. AP ammo being a boost to both players in this case, and it's going to be MCV v MCV, Juggernaut v Juggernaut, but not Marv v Marv, at least not at this point. Drive doesn't quite have that deployed on the front line. First Juggernaut does fall. Sonic Emitter on the right side of the screen, going to be getting some good shots on that Marv as the MCV from Drive takes a lot of damage as well. The Marv of Futurama steps his way forward. The Hammerhead still trying to find a little bit of damage in the back line of Futurama. Drive hoping to have any kind of damage out that he can, since he doesn't have a Marv, but neither does Futurama, as the Juggernauts of Drive find the damage, and a bombardment shot comes in from across the map, landing on that Husk. Maybe it wasn't even a Juggernaut bombardment shot. Maybe it was just a regular Juggernaut shot. And this is, I guess, too many Juggernauts. 4 Juggernauts here for Futurama. 3 of them still standing, but the MCV is not. Engineers coming out from Futurama, but the Husks will get sniped, and that Sonic Emitter will find its target. Cleans up a Husk as well. 2 Engineers out on the map for Futurama, but 0 Husks to be recovered. That's a little bit unfortunate for Futurama, the fact that he's got that going on. Drive still rolling through the main base of Futurama. Drive even getting a couple of Shatterers into the mix as well, and his Marv is down there on the south side of the map, providing that economic boost to Drive late in this game, and this is turning into a weird one as Futurama is going to have to run from the very measly army of Predator tanks and Shatterers that is tearing apart his main base and natural expansion. Meanwhile, Futurama presses forward and is going to be dealing with an Orca Strike coming in on his MCV. Firehawks as well, lighting up that MCV, and Futurama calls it quits. GG gets called as his main base gets lit up by that army of Drive. Futurama taps out of Tiberian Pantanal. And that will do it, evening up the score. I don't even know that we're keeping track. These are just some games between these guys. And we're going to jump into the next match. And that sends us to Tournament Highlands for a little bit of a mix-up. Over here, it's Futurama. He is playing GDI. That's very much the same from that last game. But mixing it up and going Black Hand. This is Drive. Decides to switch it up. Not a huge switch up by all accounts. Not a big deal to go from GDI to Black Hand, especially with as experienced as these players are. 2 very stable, staple factions. Very common to see in multiplayer, and so they're both going to have a good idea of them. Not like he suddenly goes to Steel Talons or Zocom, or even Reaper 17, which we just don't see as much. But no, it's going to be Black Hand. GDI v Black Hand. Always a delightful matchup. I don't know about always, but I don't think we're going to be seeing a 2 War Factory MCV cell all in. Indeed, it is going to be a Flame Rush, and Futurama will get eyes on the War Factory. No, he technically doesn't see the War Factory, but as you can see, his vision extends far enough that he can see units when they get created out of that War Factory. So Drive has to kind of deliberately keep back those units. No. Drive upgraded a power plant and sold off that operations center. He backed out of that rush. That Flame Rush just got canceled before your very eyes, and he said, nope, I'm not going to do it. And instead, he will, he'll get the Black Hand Squad, which honestly is a pretty good get. He doesn't get the kill on the Rifleman, which he would have liked to get, but he will get this Tib Spike almost guaranteed. You can dislodge that Black Hand Squad, but it's difficult to do fast enough to save the Tib Spike this early on in the game. If it was a little bit later, sure, you could do it. But yeah, that Tib Spike is gone. Drive goes double War Factory. So he's going to get the Tib Spike, and he is going to get a second War Factory on his 1 base economy. So good luck with that. This is going to be a very aggressive game out of Drive, and he needs to do some pretty hefty damage over the course of the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, Futurama will just outstrip him in economy, and that will be that. Decent number of bikes, decent number of buggies as well. Futurama, on the other hand, preparing with pit bulls. Maybe he'll see some Predator tanks in there as well. Black Hand Squad in the north. That Tib Spike is also going to be not long for this world. Bikes come in. They're going to be able to pick up 1 Harvester kill almost for sure, almost for free, as Drive gets the kill there and will back on out. Pit Bulls happy to trade out with them as well and pick up a couple of kills on the Pit Bulls as you leave after smashing that Harvester. Drive is going to be okay with that, but that second War Factory was so fast in comparison to the slowness of the expansion and the lateness of the economy of Drive. He is going to have a nice income boost on one base, and the fact that he killed the Harvester of Futurama makes this a lot more of an even game economically than it otherwise would be. Double pumping Scorpions. Drive switches to Scorpion production. He says, Bike Buggy is no longer for me. It's going to be just into regular old Scorps for a minute. Futurama gave up on his natural expansion economy, and Futurama is not going to be grabbing. Ooh, bit of a blunder there by Drive, but fortunately he does get it back under control, and yeah, the power plant going to be going down, so Futurama almost had an economic boom ahead of him, and instead it's looking like an economic bust as his natural expansion is getting underway, but it is a little bit later than that of Drive in terms of Harvester numbers. Secret Shrine comes online. It's going to be rocket squads as well, and the Black Hand Squad will get dealt with by that Watchtower. Power plant as well will survive, but only just... Oh, maybe not. I might have spoken too soon. And okay, there, the Black Hand members will be dealt with. The bikes could definitely get the kill on this power plant, and once again, the Watchtower gets sold off almost at the worst possible time there. Bop! The bikes get the kill on that power plant, and the drama of the power plant is now finally over. Second refinery comes up at the natural expansion. Drive has been leading the economy of this game for a good little while, but not by much. Honestly, 5 minutes into the game, it's plus 1K in income up for Drive, and he's at, plus 3K total resources gathered. Definitely not a big deal. For Scorpion tanks, they are just scooting right past these Predators, and they're going to go pretty deep into enemy territory. They will get pretty decent eyes on this base. They will see pretty much all of the natural expansion of Futurama. And also, Futurama, are you going to deal with these Scorpions? Yes, he is. Predator tanks come in. They get the kill. And, okay, nicely done there by Futurama. But Futurama very much playing on the defensive foot. Drive, on the other hand, in the driver's seat of this game. Bikes come in. He's going to find himself a couple of more Harvester kills as well. Hammerhead's on the front line, but the already struggling economy of Futurama didn't need any more struggle to its name, and instead he will find another Harvester kill or two at the main base of Futurama, and still no AP ammo. It is still only about 60-70% done, and Futurama struggling here in this game versus Drive. Looking pretty fantastic in that game, in that tournament airstrip game. But then playing GDI 2 games in a row, it is not yielding the results that he wishes. Flame Tank, if you had Purifying Flame, you would be doing so much more damage. And this Tier 3 will survive because he didn't have Purifying Flame. Although this Tier 3 could still get bopped by the army that is moving in. Man Spam has been purchased by Drive, and he is just keeping up the pressure. All three sides are being assaulted. A Flame Tank gets blocked in the south, but in the middle of the map, it's going to be SAM turrets. It's a mass infantry as well from Drive. Futurama, on the other hand, does deal with the infantry horde in the north, and now he just has to deal with everything else that is being thrown at him. Obelisks on the front line can be a real problem for a GDI to deal with. SAM sites come in as well to deal with the Hammerhead so that the rockets can move in and do their damage. Bikes could swarm these Juggernauts to deal with them as well, and the Hammerheads have all but been evicted from the sky. Down onto the ground go those Hammerheads, and into the dirt go those Harvesters as the bikes make way for the attack that is coming. The redeemer behind this will be the additional cherry on top as the GG comes out and Futurama has been defeated. Drive gets a win with Black Hand, gets a win with the backstab as GDI in the last game, but maybe Futurama will switch it up and go back to Scrin. And welcome to Desert Field for the last game of this video. Kicking it off in the south, playing the green, playing GDI. This is Drive. Meanwhile, in the north, playing Zocom. This is Futurama. Okay, we get to see Zocom. Does not go for Scrin, where he had a fantastic game on Airstrip. Instead, goes Zocom. Good for him. I'm excited to see what he decides to do with Zocom in this case. Maybe he will bust out something fantastic, but, you know, who knows. Desert Field, one of those maps that we have seen a couple of times in the last year or so. I think it's a relatively recent map, so it truly may only be, you know, a 2023 map. It may not have even existed before that, but regardless, we've seen a little bit of it. I feel like I like this map, but I also haven't seen a ton of it, so maybe I am a bit misguided in that, but I feel like this is a well-designed map. It's an interesting map, maybe not so much with the desert aesthetic, but it is nicely a desert map. It is not one of those desert maps that is just like, hey, we have one brown tile and then that's the whole map. It is nicely designed and nicely put together, despite the very brown color palette that makes up this map. GDI versus Zocom. I definitely give the edge to Drive, especially since he's on a little bit of a hot streak with this series as well. So Futurama, I am a little bit concerned playing Zocom and also not necessarily performing tippity-top in in this series. What is this? What is this 5 foxhole build where you block off all of the refinery locations at your opponent's natural? That is not natural. It is such a short walk to your... What is this? Drive, what are you doing? Okay, Pitbulls are going to be able to break these foxholes, and I guess this is going to be a short game one way or the other. I'm not exactly sure what the plan is here, but that MCV is in the middle of the map, and these foxholes are finally being broken, but it has forced an awkward deployment of a refinery by Futurama. And, it's a war factory? He is just going all out. Futurama has a timer on him, and Drive says it is time to end this. He does not want to wait for a second. We saw a couple of nice macro games sit back and build up, and this is the opposite of that. Double war factory for Drive. He's got that one base economy, very tight on production, maybe an extra harvester. Yeah, he does have 5 harvesters, so not even really an extra harvester. That's just the normal number of harvesters, but he's going for that blue Tiberium. He's going to be covering it with this attack at the same time, so again, this is going to be a short game one way or the other. They are both very evenly matched in this moment. Futurama doesn't even really have time to do anything that would be distinctly Zocom. This is just going to be like Pred Tanks versus Pred Tanks, Watchtowers versus Watchtowers, Guardian versus Guardian, perhaps, and it's going to be Pred Tanks with repairs versus Pred Tanks with repairs. An APC mixed in here as well from Drive. Futurama has a couple of Pitbulls somewhere else on the map, but it doesn't look like they're doing anything, so it's going to be a double Guardian tank, which is a good anchor here for Futurama, but Drive has the tank numbers, always with the tank numbers, and Guardian tanks are good, but Predator tanks are better. And if that's all you've got, Guardian tanks, Guardian cannons, then you're going to need a bit more than that. I love the addition of a couple of rocket squads to mix in. 3 Guardian tanks is a fantastic anchor, and Drive can't just roll over this base 4-0. It is going to cost him greatly, but for the current moment, they are both very comfortable in their economy, and Drive is about to deny harvesting of this natural expansion, which will kind of even things up for the two of them. Drive with rockets right onto the front line, forcing out potential watchtowers here from Futurama. One single watchtower from Futurama, and Drive just keeping up the pressure. He has had the tank advantage for basically the entirety of this engagement, and he maintains that tank advantage now. You can't stop the tanks. When your opponent has this many Predators, there is not much you can do. Futurama has done a fantastic job of trying to hold on and make the best of a bad situation, but it's still that, a bad situation. And Futurama will take the L in the last game of this set. Drive with a very aggressive short win there on Desert Field. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is Sybert signing out.